The following is a presentation of TFNN. The Morning Market Kickoff with your host, Tommy O'Brien. Now, Tommy O'Brien.
Good Tuesday morning, everybody. I'm Tommy O'Brien, coming to you live from TFNN just after 9 a.m. Eastern Time. We have some CPI data out this morning, coming in a little bit light. So inflation, a little bit less than feared. The counter argument against that is the lag forces in the tariffs. We'll see how it plays out. But nonetheless, the hard data, light on inflation. The market takes that. We're in positive territory, extending the gains of yesterday. Quite a day yesterday. We almost finished at session highs. Right? How about that market? Let's put it back to a 5-minute charge and higher. Towards the end of the session, even yesterday, you traded yesterday, just zooming in the end of the day, you're talking about trading up a solid 30 points in the final 15 minutes of trading, coming into the 4 o'clock closing bell with highs of 58.75. And as you can see, we just got right up to that same level. Back it up one more time. What's going on? Give me the full action. There we go. We just got right up to that level on that CPI data. We spiked to 58.85. S&P is positive by 3 points. NASDAQ 100, we're positive by 59. How about 21,000? Yeah, above the highs of yesterday. Look at that. Look at that nice round number, right? You hit it at 7 in the morning yesterday. We hit 21,000 almost to the tick, 4 points away at about 4 o'clock, and we're right above that level right now with the NASDAQ 100, up about 0.2% right now. Dow, slightly in the red. Now Dow, UNH, their CEO, he's stepping down unexpectedly. We'll get to that story, but nonetheless, that is going to put a hurting on the Dow with UNH down, $40, almost 10%, 11, 12% almost to 339. We'll talk about that later in the program, but that's the reason why the Dow is getting smacked right now. Now, that one equity alone. Russell, positive by 12. Bitcoin, how about it? Up $1,900. You got Coinbase getting added to the S&P 500. I have to chuckle a bit. And they should be. They're probably one of the 500 biggest companies in the economy. When you talk about crypto, where it is, you got a market cap of $50-something billion out there. To be in the S&P 500, you have to have had made money in the last quarter and made money over the most recent 4 aggregate quarters. You make money over the last year, and you make money over the last quarter. Nonetheless, they're going in. They're replacing Discover Financial, who's getting acquired. So they're not really taking somebody out to put them in. Somebody got acquired. They're getting eliminated. They had to find somebody else. Coinbase is the company, and you're going to be up by 11 or 12% right now in the pre-market, 229. What I will say about Coinbase, well below where you IPO'd at, right? Check that one out. And remember, folks, April of 2021, okay, if somebody ever says, man, can they really try and manipulate markets when they're pushing out IPOs? This is what the run-up in Bitcoin looked like to the IPO for Coinbase. You went from 10,000 and got it all the way up to 65,000 when Coinbase went IPO, and then you pulled back to 30. You double-topped, and then you really bottomed out at 15 before the next run. Now, I bring that up because you take a look at Coinbase, you're still well below where you were on that double top, right? We were at 65,000 in April of 21. We were at 65,000 again before you really cascaded lower. And yeah, it's been a heck of a run since the lows of $31, well off the highs of last year, but you got volatility again. And yeah, guess what? Everybody in the S&P 500, that SPY, yeah, SPY is going to have to go buy some Coinbase to make sure they get them in there. And market cap wise, it is a decent market cap when you put that company up there. And this morning, probably approaching 55 to 60 billion. Where are we? Yeah, 58.5 billion market cap right now for Coinbase. So crypto, another leg higher. Now, let's get into yields. The dollar, and that always translates to gold. We'll go back to a short-term time frame right now. We're talking about a 10-year yield of 4.45. Okay, 4.45. Now, I'm going to zoom in on the 830 number here. Okay, now, let's go over to the CPI for a moment, okay? Consumer prices rise less than expected in April. I mean, it is quite the trifecta of headlines that you got up here. CPI, smallest year-over-year gains since the year Tommy was born, the month Tommy was born, we'll put it that way, right? Over 4 years ago, grocery prices retreat, shelter, car insurance are rising, but it is a weak number, okay? Now, the other side of that is, and here's like any person's take, all right? This one's from Brian Colton, chief economist at Fitch Ratings. Nonetheless, this is the counter argument. Everyone is speculating, okay? Nobody knows how these tariff prices and taxes are going to contribute. You still have a tariff rate out there of 30% on China, along with others. 10% is now the floor. So you're either going to eat into margins, okay, if the companies eat them, or you're going to see a pass-through at some point. Core goods prices have yet to reflect the impact of tariff hikes that have taken place, while services continue to grow gradually, okay? Core good inflation is likely to pick up in the next few months as inventories of goods imported pre-tariff hikes get depleted, right? It's not going to happen on day one if it happens. But nonetheless, you got some weak numbers here in terms of inflation. Now, we bring that conversation back to yields. No movement almost in yields. A little bit of an uptick. There was your move on 830. These are 1-minute bars, okay? And the point I'm making here is, if inflation is light, that would allow the Fed, in theory, to cut, okay, because the Fed is worried about inflation. That's why they're being so hesitant. That's why they're giving it time in terms of seeing where things play out. So if inflation is not there, you would see the Fed with the ability to cut, and you would see rates go down. That was the initial spike you saw right there on the 1 minute up to 110.15. You were lower by, 20 minutes later, you were actually higher yield. Okay? The point being, this market is not interpreting this data to mean that this is going to allow the Fed to cut. Okay? Yeah, it doesn't really reverse situations, but all it does is align with the fact that the Fed's going to be patient. And the data 2 to 3 months from right now is going to be a lot more important than the data we're getting for April. Okay? Because there's no way. Would you want to be in the crosshairs if you're any retailer and you jack prices up on Liberation Day, right? I mean, it's not an exaggeration because that's what's playing out. If it does happen, it's not going to happen in April. So the Fed's going to be cautious, and you're seeing that depicted in the charts, okay? No huge reaction at all. The market's not saying, hey, guess what? Inflation isn't here. Okay, the Fed's going to cut and rates are going to be lower. We have the 10-year right now. All right, it looks like it's making a run for almost 5% again. That's the trend right now. You got a bounce after, we got a 90-day pause, and we got lower price, higher yield coming at you, and the dollar is saying that as well. Now, a little bit of a pullback yesterday, but that is a decisive break, okay? And yeah, I found myself last night saying, you could make the case here, okay, if you're really looking for lower prices, that the dollar is bouncing in a downtrend channel. I'm not making that case. Okay, maybe you can make that case, all right? But boy, if that's the case, you better turn right here. All right, but I think the case is that we got a real bounce, man. You got a real bounce. 100 is the critical level here. That's going to now turn into the floor. Okay, maybe you get a pullback and bounce. That area is, and look at when you catch a bounce, how far you bounce on this dollar. 106, right? We're at 101, 110. We got some movement right now, and you got dollar strength. We got yields at 4.45%. We got a lot to talk about, folks. Stay tuned. We're coming back. If you're looking for potential trading setups in the stock market, then Rocket Equities and Options Report is a newsletter you should try. Tommy O'Brien delivers options and equity trades when the markets present them using a combination of fundamentals and technicals. Sign up for Rocket Equities and Options Report today with a 30-day money-back guarantee so you have nothing to risk. For all the details and to start your subscription today, visit the front page of TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
In the world of trading, only a few names stand out like Larry Pesavento, a pro's pro with over 50 years of experience. Larry has seen it all. A former Chicago Mercantile Exchange member, Larry has authored 10 books and trained over 1,000 traders with his unmatched expertise. Introducing Fibonacci 24/7, Larry Pesavento's daily trading service that turns the complexity of markets into opportunities. Published every Sunday, receive a comprehensive report packed with detailed commentary, charts, and videos that illuminate the patterns shaping the markets, with updates throughout the week exclusively for subscribers. Whether through charts or videos, Larry's analysis is your roadmap to navigating the markets. You can sign up now at TFNN.com for just $97. And with all TFNN newsletters backed by a 30-day money-back guarantee, you have nothing to risk. For all the details, visit TFNN.com. You'll find Fibonacci 24/7 right under the newsletters tab.
Building wealth trading in the stock market seems impossible to most people. They think it's too volatile and risky. Most people aren't going to take the time to educate themselves on how to do it right. But you're not most people, are you? At TFNN, you'll get the guidance you need to refine your strategies and techniques to invest like a pro. Because you'll be a pro. All TFNN subscriptions, books, software, and courses are available at TFNN.com. And I'm even going to tell you how to get them for less. Use TFNN's Tiger Dollars and you'll get up to a 20% bonus on your purchase. And once you apply them to your account, Tiger Dollars are automatically used for all future or recurring charges. Tiger Dollars also never expire, are fully transferable, and are a great way to add savings to your newsletters or services. Become the investor you were born to be at TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
TFNN has launched the Tiger's Den. Hosted at Discord, TFNN has been educating traders for more than 20 years with live programming hosted by a variety of professional traders during market hours. The Tiger's Den, available to all tigers and tigresses for just $1 for the year. There's no catch or added costs when you join our community of traders. Sign up today and become a part of this educational community of traders. Just visit the front page of TFNN.com.
This portion of the Morning Market Kickoff is brought to you by Direxion's daily leveraged and inverse ETFs. Whether you're a bull or a bear, you choose the direction. Visit Direxion.com. Investing in the funds involves significant risk and should only be utilized by investors who understand the impact of leverage and actively monitor their portfolio. They are not designed to track the underlying index or security for more than a day. Before investing, carefully consider a fund's investment objective, risk, charges, and expenses contained in the prospectus available at Direxion.com. Read carefully. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC. Welcome back, folks. We have the S&Ps right now up by 4 points. NASDAQ 100 up by 60. The Dow negative by 150. Now, I always say the Dow makes no sense how that index is a price-weighted index when you have equities like UNH that are trading at $380 that dominate how that index performs, because on a percentage basis, you're going to trade down over 10%. You're down $40. And in a price-weighted index, the most expensive per price per share equities, which have no impact on their market cap. Nonetheless, you got UNH. So it's down $40. And we jump over to the headline, and this one just hitting. Announces a surprise CEO exit. Pulls the annual forecast on top of it. Okay. Surging medical costs. Their former CEO, who had been with the conglomerate for 28 years, he's returning. Okay. Whitty's leaving for quote unquote personal reasons, not saying anything more. You talk about not knowing anything that's going on, right? Yeah. The abruptness certainly is a surprise. I mean, they've struggled, but you pull the forecast, you fire the CEO, and you bring somebody back. That's not planned. They got some problems there, and we'll see if they announce what types of problems. Seems like things are worse than they knew. When you talk about pulling the guidance, and my expectations are that the board, the data they got to pull the guidance, right, was like, what the heck is going on? So the guidance they probably have was so bad they said, don't give that guidance. We just got to pull the guidance. We'll be better off telling them nothing than telling them the reality of what we're looking at. And the reality is you're out as CEO. So, yeah. And you take a longer term look at this equity, right? Whew, man. Look at this thing. Yeah. Where are we right now on market cap? Still 308 billion. Well, you know, you're going to open at 340. We just traded from 600 down to 378. You see that decisive break we had? Let's put it on a monthly. Man, you're going to come back and test this 300 area. We're going to open at 340. And that's not crazy, folks. Okay, that's what all the tech stocks did. They came back and tested 2021. You take a look at some of these areas. How about Microsoft coming down on that acceleration just last month to where we were in 2021? How about Amazon shares trading back to where we were from 2020, even lower, right? You hit a price of 160. You're talking about going back 5 years almost on Amazon prices. Remarkable. Meta's not even, you can't even, look at that pullback. I guess not even as far. But nonetheless, UNH, man, $300. Look at it. And that could be far worse when you're talking about a company still valued at $300 billion. Everything's changing. No forecast, new CEO. Watch out. All right, let's get back into the CPI numbers for a moment. So the headline number comes in at 2.3% in April. Core on a monthly basis, 0.2% for the month. Year over year, you're still looking at 2.8. Egg prices, yeah, that avian flu. Listen, egg prices almost have nothing to do with the economy in terms of the flu wipes out all the chickens. You can make the case that we need better policies in place to make sure that you don't have to wipe out all the chickens. But nonetheless, that's what happens. How about egg prices down 13%? Eggs, one of the best things you can eat for your body. I digress, but pasture-raised eggs. I get them at Sam's. Great deal. I'll give Sam's a plug. We'll jump over to Walmart. The difference, right, folks? They always talk about cage-free, okay? There's regular eggs. Eggs are still great, okay? But if you're trying to go a little bit, you can actually see that it's one thing that's remarkable. Everyone talks about organic, all right? Go pull up a video sometime of what an egg looks like when it's pasture-raised, which to be pasture-raised, like each chicken needs X amount of square footage to walk around in the pasture. They're eating bugs, they're eating worms. We're turning into a health show all of a sudden, but it is interesting, okay? The eggs are brighter yellow. There's more nutrients. Pasture-raised versus cage-free. All right, cage-free is great. They might not be caged, but they're still in hen houses, etc., okay? And that's the most mundane. But if you get a chance, check out the difference in cage-free versus pasture-raised eggs. And eggs, pretty healthy, and they're down by 13%. Walmart shares, look at the pullback yesterday, right? As everybody was loading up on tech, Walmart had performed so well, as many of the tech peers had traded a bit lower. Walmart was pushing almost the highs we had in February, all right? Nonetheless, you get a little bit of a pullback yesterday. Walmart shares this morning going to be about flat with the market up by 6. But back to those numbers. So eggs falling 12.7, but still up 49% from a year ago. But yeah, you're looking at a decent number, man. Core CPI, 0.2% for the month. And year over year, those are friendly numbers, man. The core number here in the dotted blue, can't deny that's trending lower, especially when you're looking at 0.2% on a monthly basis. So what I'm taking most from this, though, is no decisive break in the 10-year, okay? You get soft inflation data, and the 10-year stays at 4.5%. What does that mean? Yeah, that means the market is interpreting we need a lot more than that before this Fed is going to be willing to cut. And that is what is fueling higher yield and dollar strength right now. And we'll see how the dollar does. We were all the way up to almost 102 at the end of session yesterday. We've given up almost 45 pennies at 101.33 on that dollar. All right. Let's jump around to some other equities. We got Tesla shares up a bit at 319. You jump over to Boeing shares. What was the headline today? The Saudis. You got President Trump. He's in the Middle East with many of the tech CEOs over there. And what do we got here? That's inflation. All right, I'll have to pull it up. Yeah, pretty sure the Saudis are going to buy like 30 Boeing planes. All right, we'll have to find that headline. Check out other tech stocks. Amazon shares up by about $2.50 to $2.11. Quite a run for Amazon. How about Restoration Hardware yesterday? Yeah, you're talking about a run from $195 to $230. Best Buy was another big gainer yesterday. You gave back some of those gains intraday, but still trading from about 69 up to 74. We're trading at $73.75 right now for Best Buy. Check out some of the home builders. On a longer-term basis, we need a little bit more than this. You know, you're up by $12 off the low of about $100 for Lennar, but still, longer-term, man, put this thing on a weekly. You need more of a bid than that. Look at the volume, right? No volume in these home builders. There's Lennar. There's D.R. Horton. Nothing. Nothing at all. All right, folks, we're coming back for the opening bell. S&P's up by 2. NASDAQ 100 up by 50. Stay tuned. We're coming back.
This year has already been a wild ride for the market. We started off heavily in the red, traversed back to all-time highs, and we now have a trade war looming. Trying to play this chop as an individual trader leads to death by 1,000 cuts. Where does this market go next? Should I add to this position or cut my losses? Where is the next opportunity? Tariffs? Trade wars? Analysis paralysis. Don't become a victim of this intense market. Instead, join Larry Pesavento over the second and fourth Friday of every month for 3 hours of live trading. Larry has been through many markets just like this one, and the insight he provides is invaluable. The dates for this month are April 11th and 25th, 9 a.m. to noon Eastern Time. Get in here and let's start trading. TFNN, educating investors.
If you spend any time online researching trading techniques on how to begin your trading journey, you've no doubt come across many folks who push Forex trading as a way to make big money quickly. Unfortunately, there are equally as many stories of these so-called Forex professionals just looking to make a quick buck off aspiring traders without actually teaching the ins and outs of the Forex market. This is what sets Teddy Keckstack's The Tiger Forex Report off the riffraff. Every Monday, former Chicago Mercantile Exchange member and author Teddy Keckstack releases his Tiger Forex Report newsletter, where he dives into the complex world of Forex and takes time to actually teach you his methods that have made him so successful in the fast-paced and rewarding world of Forex trading. Furthermore, all subscribers receive access to archived live streams of Teddy's, where he provides university-level education to help you in Forex trading. All first-time subscribers receive a 30-day money-back guarantee. So what are you waiting for? Forex awaits.
Steve Rhodes started his trading career as a student almost 20 years ago, and the student has now become the master. Steve won the prestigious Timer of the Year award in 2018 and barely missed that mark again in 2019, finishing at number 2 for the year. An amazing accomplishment. Steve Rhodes is committed to sharing his techniques and knowledge with anyone who wants to learn, and he shares his vast amount of trading knowledge every day in his Mastering Probability newsletter. Steve's award-winning newsletter, Mastering Probability, is delivered every trading day with updates throughout the afternoon. Sign up for Steve's market newsletter, Mastering Probability, and you'll receive access to 7 of Steve's educational webinars absolutely free. At TFNN, all our newsletters come with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have absolutely nothing to worry about. Visit TFNN.com and try Mastering Probability 30 days risk-free today. TFNN, educating investors.
Don't forget, you can listen to TFNN live on your mobile device 24 hours per day. Go to TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV. That's TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV.
Welcome back, folks. We have stock market open. You got the S&Ps open up by 3 points. NASDAQ 100, we open up by 46 on a weekly basis. We got some pops going. to put it lightly. Back to a 15-minute right now. And yeah, testing the highs of yesterday's session, right where we closed it out with the NASDAQ 100, up by about 2/10. Dow rolling over on the UNH action. Let's jump over to UNH. Yeah, down 11.2%. I would not step in front of this train, folks. All right, because that train just keeps going down. No bid in sight, and now you have pulling the forecast, new CEO. Still worth $300 billion. So you think there's not value to be depreciated. Bitcoin up $2,000 to $104,000. And let's check out Coinbase. They're going to be added to the S&P. Yeah, continuing the run. Not bad. Up by $25, up by 12% to $233.49. You talk about it. And yeah, the news on Boeing, that's what. So Boeing up by 1.2%. And there is the headline. Saudi Wealth Fund to order 30 Boeing 737s during the Trump visit. And yeah, so many tech CEOs over there. You got the CEOs, you got Elon, Sam Altman. The Citi CEO is over there. She's over there. What was it? The AMD CEO, she's over there. Many tech CEOs, and they're going to purchase 30 737 MAX models. $1.5 billion after discounts is what they're talking about there. And yeah, so that number. Now, I don't know what's going on with Air Force One, folks. You got to chuckle. It makes no sense. I hope somebody stands up. Why aren't the Saudis giving Trump a plane? Makes no sense whatsoever. All right. I'm always hopeful for the country. I want Trump to do great things. Foreign governments should not be giving presidents planes for $400 million that they're just going to take and use after their office. Doing it in plain sight doesn't change what's happening, folks. Hopefully people get involved. It's absurd. It's lunacy. And I think anyone would agree. And meanwhile, it's done in plain sight and no one's saying anything. So let's stand up for what's going on, man. It makes no sense whatsoever. Listen to Trump talk about, somebody gives you a putt. Sam Snead said, always take it. It's outright bribery from foreign nations in Qatar. And Pam Bondi, the attorney general, was getting paid $115 a month to lobby for Qatar during the World Cup. Okay? Yeah, we're talking planes. Bonkers. Banana Republic style, $400 million plane. If you compare it to what Reagan got, they just decommissioned Air Force One because it had been in service for multiple decades. They're going to give Trump a plane. He's going to use it after office, and then he's going to do whatever he wants with it for his foundation. Come on, people. Makes no sense. All right. What else do we got going on? Yeah, Newark. Hopefully they fix what's going on there. I was talking to my mom last night. I don't know how you fly into Newark right now. That's just being real. I don't know how you do it when you got air traffic control, the mess that it is for whatever reason it is, but they got to get it fixed no matter what. Newark Airport Task Force with Verizon and L3 Harris execs. And yeah, hopefully they get it fixed, man, because it's a tragedy what's going on in terms of what is there for, you talk about that flying in. Didn't think that America would just have certain airports, And I know everyone pushes back. Isn't that a shame, folks, that people don't want to hear that the U.S. president shouldn't be getting planes for $400 million and they turn off the channel? Isn't that a shame that that's how some people view things right now? They say, oh, man, I can't believe he's talking about this president who I agree with all his policies and saying, man, how is he getting a $400 million gift from a foreign power and no one's doing it? Yeah, and then everybody else that does says, what about the other guy? There's no other guy that's getting a $400 million gift from Qatar, folks, that's president, and is going to keep it after office. Come on. Wake up, people. Let's not deviate too far from reality. You can have conversations, but it's Banana Republic style, folks, and just doing it outright is somehow makes it okay. That's not the case. It's insane. It's insane. And you shouldn't stand by it, and you shouldn't say, what about the other guy? And you shouldn't say, I don't want to listen to this. I wouldn't have to talk about it if anybody was doing anything that supported the president's policies. I support a lot of the president's policies. It's not going to happen if he's just taking gifts of $400 million from foreign countries for planes. It's insanity, folks. Enough politics. I'm out of here. Yeah. Take a hike, AKS. No problem, man. If that's the world you want to live in, every president just takes $400 million gifts from whatever foreign power they want, and they keep it after office, and they quote Sam Snead and said Sam Snead always takes any putt that anybody gives him. Where are we living, man? That's Banana Republic style leadership, talking about, oh, come on. Any golfer that gets given a putt, he's trolling the left. Man, people are crazy. Darth, you're out of your mind. Trolling the left. He's taking a $400 million gift. I appreciate it, man. That's not trolling. I would love if somebody said I was trolling somebody by taking a $400 million gift. And in defense of it, I quoted some golfer. Yeah. Lunacy, folks. Call lunacy where lunacy is, because nobody else is standing up for what's right. My dad used to hand out copies of the Constitution. You don't like it? You can go somewhere else, EKS. Nah, he's going to be quiet, but I bet he's still listening. Everybody says it. I bet he's still listening if you're in the YouTube Tigers Den. Okay? I know you're still out there, EKS. Yeah. You're just trying to tell me to quiet down. Okay? I know you're still out there, and I'm not going to quiet down. You can go and come back for Basil. But everybody else, stand up for your rights. Okay? What is the point of anything? Okay? And when you talk about money, you don't think that eventually, you saw what happened on yields. You don't think eventually that this will deteriorate into the economy when you have presidents running in and just taking $400 million gifts from foreign powers and pretending like it doesn't matter? All right, let's check out UNH, down by 12.5%. We jump around to what else is going on in this market. JP Morgan, they're saying the worst case scenario, it's not going to play out if that's how it looks right now with the tariffs. But yeah, the administration's recent dialing down of some of the more draconian tariffs placed on China should reduce the risk that we go into a recession. But nonetheless, they're still talking about PCE, the Fed's preferred inflation gauge, rising to 3.5%. Okay? Yeah, instead of 4%, but talking about 3.5%. They still project a modest contraction in employment later this year. Labor demand projected to slow even more than labor supply. Updated labor market outlook, less demanding of immediate action. So you're still looking at a PCE, which is the Fed's preferred gauge, excluding food and energy, okay? That's core PCE, the Fed, that's what they watch, rising to 3.5%. If we get a rise to 3.5%, what's the Fed going to do? So yes, there's no recession call, but again, back to the yields, okay? Best case scenario right now, they're saying it's not going to be that bad, but you're going to see prices rise to 3.5% instead of the number 4% we were previously thinking. Yeah. And we're sitting right at about 4.45%. Jump around to NVIDIA. There's a bid continuing the run, up by 2.2% right now. AMD, look at that, breaking out. So much for that downturn channel, man. You're out of it. And that's how you break out of a channel. You know, there's so many of these equities when you're looking at silver. What are some of them? Is it Hecla? No, it's not Hecla. Is it Pan American? No, that one's breaking lower. There's many equities. Oh, it's MUX. That's what I'm thinking of. Yeah. Great example, right? McEwen Mining. You know, check out. This is what a channel looks like. Don't touch an equity like this until you break out of it. Okay? And when I say break out of it, that's how you break out of a channel. You know, maybe you look for the buyback here on AMD, but that's how you do it. AMD shares, you decisively break. And yeah, you know, you're trading from 76 to 109, okay? But we're looking for a pullback. You get a pullback, AMD up by 1.4%. Stay tuned, folks. We're coming back.
Many trading newsletters attempt to focus on a narrow set of equities or commodities. While this works for some, it oftentimes misses many opportunities that possess huge gain potential. But how is an independent trader supposed to scan the entire market looking for these hidden opportunities? One simple answer: the opening call newsletter. Basil Chapman, developer of the Chapman Wave trading methodology, has been trading the markets for longer than most trading influencers have been alive. And over that time, he has honed his methodology in order to accurately call movements in a wide range of equities, from semiconductors to uranium to key indices and so much more. Basil is old school, taking the time to educate the trader while also giving his insights into key indices, selective stocks, and more. Opening call subscribers also receive access to dozens of educational live streams that can be accessed at any time for your edification. All first-time subscribers receive a 30-day money-back guarantee. So ignore the pop trading influencers and start learning time-tested technical analysis.
For traders who crave risk, Direxion's daily leveraged and inverse ETFs provide opportunities to magnify short-term perspectives with up to 3 times a daily leverage, utilize bull and bear funds for both sides of the trade, and trade through rapidly changing markets. These are highly leveraged ETFs with daily resetting designed for short-term trading not long-term investing. Whether you're a bull or a bear, you choose the direction. For up-to-date pricing and performance, go to direction.com. Investing in the funds involves significant risk and should only be utilized by investors who understand the impact of leverage and actively monitor their portfolio. They are not designed to track the underlying index or security for more than a day. Before investing, carefully consider a fund's investment objective, risk, charges, and expenses contained in the prospectus available at direction.com. Read carefully. Distributor Foreside Fund Services, LLC. Are you ready to take charge of your financial future? TFNN is your gateway to the world of trading and investing. Whether you're starting out or scaling up, TFNN empowers traders and investors of all skill levels with top-notch investing systems, strategies, and techniques. It's time to protect and grow your money with insight you can trust. Join us live Monday through Friday during market hours for exclusive content that moves with the markets. At TFNN, we bring the trading floor to you. Our seasoned hosts are here to answer your calls and questions live on the air. Check out the Tiger's Den for just $1 and follow us on YouTube and become part of our vibrant community. And remember, at TFNN, we're so confident in the value we provide that we offer a 30-day money-back guarantee on all new premium newsletter subscriptions and services. You have absolutely nothing to risk, so why wait? Tune in live to Tiger TV and transform your trading journey. Because when you know better, you invest better. Join us and experience the difference today. TFNN, educating investors.
This program is brought to you by Vista Gold, traded on the NYSE American and TSX under the symbol VGZ.
Welcome back, folks. We got the S&Ps up by about 0.2%, 13 points. Yeah, you accelerate higher at 8:30 on that CPI number, and we're pushing those highs yet again. 58.77 right now. NASDAQ 100. Check out the run above those highs that we got at 8:30. 21,080. Dow taking it on the chin with UNH. UNH down 12.3% to $331. And this run began at $600 less than a month ago. Whoo. You know, if you're ever buying equities on margin, okay, you always want to prepare for what you think may not happen, okay? And I always have the expression, if the probability of something happening is greater than zero, okay? If the probability of something happening is greater than 0%, as in if there's a chance it can happen, you better make sure that you're planning for what happens if that does, even if it's a dire situation. Right? Not many people probably imagine that you could have been in UNH. Maybe you bought these equities on margin and you lose every single penny you have over the period, you know, and they sell you out when you get down to 25% and you're sold out at this point. But boy, you better watch out on that equity, man. 330 and you're trading even lower. As the NASDAQ 100 charges higher, yeah, Amazon up by 2.3%, up another $5. Apple shares flat right now. 209. We jump over to Microsoft, flat as well to 448. Best Buy up a percentage point. Restoration Hardware up by 0.2% right now. You jump over to Meta. There's a bid for you, up by 1.5% right now. Google, different story, down by 1.1%. You know, I tell you, folks, I find myself so often now when I Google anything, I don't Google it. I chat GPT it. And whatever app you use, I just do it all the time. It's a new norm. It's astounding. I was on the phone yesterday with somebody, a friend. It's just, I just don't even go to Google anymore. And I imagine that that's going to be a slow uptake for a societal change, but it's happening. The other side of that is, yeah, you got Google Labs, okay? You got Gemini, you have Gmail, you have YouTube, of course. But boy, they got a monopoly, and that monopoly is broken. So that's going to be a headwind for right now. And you're down by 0.9%. Amazon, look at the strength, man. Up by 2.5%, trading at 213.83 right now. We jump around to some of the streamers. Look at this run Disney's on. Up by 1 percentage point to 111. Paramount's flat this morning. We jump over to Netflix, up by 1.5%. Boy, this thing's strong like bull. Warner Brothers Discovery right now, down about 0.7%. Let's check out some of the airlines. There we go. Look at this bounce that continues. So Delta up by 3% right now. JetBlue continues to underperform when these airlines catch a bid. Look at United's up by 2%. American up by 3.3%. And on a day when those airlines are accelerating, JetBlue can't catch a bid, or up by 0.4%. Some other tech stocks, Oracle up by 1.1% this morning. Salesforce up by 0.5% right now. Check out the banks, JP Morgan. Look at these runs. You don't normally see this type of volatility on banks, but hey, when everything goes haywire on those Trump tariffs, JP Morgan up by 0.4% right now. Bank of America, look at that run. And Citi up by 0.5%. You know, that was a big pop. When you talk about price and volume yesterday, we've been talking about price and volume. Okay? That's the type of uptick in the same way that's some strength. You do 1.7 million contracts, okay? And to put things in context, I had been talking about, and it is remarkable, even on a day like yesterday, okay? And listen, it doesn't mean that this market can't make new all-time highs on light volume. We've seen a worst-case scenario get taken out of the situation in terms of the tariffs, but you still have volume that's light compared to 3 straight weeks, right? Look at this week. 3 straight weeks, basically from February 27th to about March 17th. We put it on the NASDAQ 100. There's that same area, okay? Yesterday, imagine this. Yesterday, NASDAQ 100 up 3.5% to 4%. We do 625,000 contracts. We did more than 625,000 contracts for almost 3 straight weeks as we traded lower. And we couldn't even do that daily volume yesterday on that move. And meanwhile, that's an uptick in volume. All right, the volume has not come back yet, even on yesterday's day, and yesterday's day is a big one. We'll see if we get some follow-through. But even on yesterday's day, not up to that degree. Look at that volume that we're coming into, and in the NASDAQ 100, that began at about 21,386, 21.4. Yeah, we're at 21,062. We're right up against that area. And the volume's just not there. On that NASDAQ and on the S&P, it plays out in a similar trend, similar fashion. Yesterday, we did 1.7 million contracts yesterday. Yeah. Same thing. We did at least 1.85 million contracts in the S&Ps. And look, you could even go further. What did we do yesterday? 1.68. Yeah, you were ahead of it. 1.68. My goodness. You're talking about 5, 10, 15, 18 straight trading days in the S&P that you traded more volume than we traded yesterday. Think about that. 18 straight trading days. I'll say it again because it's remarkable. 18 straight trading days. We did more volume than we did yesterday as this market began to trade lower when all the tariff talk really started to accelerate in February. That's a lot of volume, man. Okay, and you look at these volume at the lows, and we don't have to cherry pick these volumes at the lows because that was exacerbated fear. But sustained volume for weeks, I keep finding myself staring down at that period of time, and that we're coming right into that. And in the S&Ps, it began at about 6,000. Yeah, look at Boeing catching a bid, man. And you know, this is a story, folks, of you should buy any equity at a certain price. You should sell any equity at a certain price. When China was out there canceling, telling their airlines cancel Boeing transactions, all this stuff, right? Max Payne situation, you drive down to 130, 140 area from 180, let alone with the last 5 years, you got to go back even further. Remarkable. Yeah. What this chart looks like, okay, you're talking about going back to where we were at 2013 prices. Do you know what kind of inflation we're dealing with what a share needs to be worth for a 2013 share price? The point being, okay, that was a buy. And you see this bar here, that is the trend line on the top, and now you back it up. That trend line is the highs of 2013. Again, That's the top trend line. You dip below there, right? That was the buy. So when you're looking at trades like that, right? And it doesn't mean, now we're getting a little lofty, man. You're up by almost 50% from where we are. Nonetheless, Boeing up by 2.4%. All the bad news was baked in, much so with the market at that time as well. Up to 203.39 for Boeing. All right, folks, stay tuned. One more segment. We'll be right back.
Many trading newsletters attempt to focus on a narrow set of equities or commodities. While this works for some, it oftentimes misses many opportunities that possess huge gain potential. But how is an independent trader supposed to scan the entire market looking for these hidden opportunities? One simple answer: the opening call newsletter. Basil Chapman, developer of the Chapman Wave trading methodology, has been trading the markets for longer than most trading influencers have been alive. And over that time, he has honed his methodology in order to accurately call movements in a wide range of equities, from semiconductors to uranium to key indices and so much more. Basil is old school, taking the time to educate the trader while also giving his insights into key indices, selective stocks, and more. Opening call subscribers also receive access to dozens of educational live streams that can be accessed at any time for your edification. All first-time subscribers receive a 30-day money-back guarantee. So ignore the pop trading influencers and start learning time-tested technical analysis.
Steve Rhodes started his trading career as a student almost 20 years ago, and the student has now become the master. Steve won the prestigious Timer of the Year award in 2018 and barely missed that mark again in 2019, finishing at number 2 for the year. An amazing accomplishment. Steve Rhodes is committed to sharing his techniques and knowledge with anyone who wants to learn, and he shares his vast amount of trading knowledge every day in his Mastering Probability newsletter. Steve's award-winning newsletter, Mastering Probability, is delivered every trading day with updates throughout the afternoon. Sign up for Steve's market newsletter, Mastering Probability, and you'll receive access to 7 of Steve's educational webinars absolutely free. At TFNN, all our newsletters come with a 30-day money-back guarantee, so you have absolutely nothing to worry about. Visit TFNN.com and try Mastering Probability 30 days risk-free today. TFNN, educating investors.
The reality is that navigating financial markets can be risky. Markets can be chaotic and difficult to understand. Having the latest market advice can help you turn this chaos into a key for creating winning trades. At TFNN, we understand that it can be hard to find reliable market news. That's why each of our market experts offers their very own market newsletter, a must-have tool for every trader out there striving to find an edge in today's markets. TFNN newsletters cover every aspect of the markets so you can analyze the market before you trade. Try any of our great newsletters risk-free with our 30-day money-back guarantee. Just visit the Newsletters tab on the front page of TFNN.com. TFNN, educating investors.
Don't forget, you can listen to TFNN live on your mobile device 24 hours per day. Go to TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV. That's TFNN.com, then hit Watch Tiger TV.
Welcome back, folks. You have markets continuing higher. NASDAQ 100 now up by 150.7% right now, trading at 21,101. S&P is up by 17. And yeah, the Dow trading lower by almost 0.5% right now. UNH shares continuing lower. It's not stopping, down by almost 14% off $52. And you were at $600 almost a month ago. Remarkable. You jump over to NVIDIA shares. Continuing the run, these tech stocks, man. NVIDIA up by 3.5% to 127. Amazon up by almost 3% today as well. Meta shares, up by 2%. We jump over to Tesla, up by 0.5% to 320. And how about the VIX? Yeah, just like that. 1775. The VIX down from 60. You talk about it, man. That is quite a move. And, this is where, as markets reverberate, okay, my example with Boeing, when you go around and round on Boeing, right, at some point it's a buy, at some point it's a sell. You start getting into a volume situation, a volatility situation where the VIX is pulling back at the historical average. Well, I'm looking forward to see what happens maybe around some of those 90-day tariff pause dates when you go over that, right, in terms of where you go from there. Because there is some uncertainty that still looms in this market. There's some volatility. We're not going to approach, let's put it this way. We're not going to approach the market lows from a policy standpoint anymore. Okay, we know that tariffs are not being put in place at 145%, and they're going to be left there. That was an outlier risk that was present when the S&Ps were at 4,800. The only potential that could bring you back is market forces, right? Earnings, inflation, etc. That is out there. But we've surpassed that. But what is out there is the actual nuts and bolts of the economy, the earnings, the pricing, and we'll see how that plays out. All right, folks, stay tuned. We got our man Basil Chapman. He's coming up next. Thanks so much for starting your trading day off right here at TFNN. Markets in the positive. S&P's up 175. Stay tuned for Basil, folks. He's coming up next. Have a great one, everybody.